Aloha, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tiki Room Radio. Thank you so much for joining us here in our tropical hideaway. Welcome back, Kirk. How are you, my friend?
Well, first of all, it feels amazing in this bamboo little hut we've constructed for this week's Tiki Room Radio. And I appreciate everyone for coming over to YouTube because I'm going to see my favorite band live tonight in Tampa, crazy enough. So super appreciate that.
Who are you checking out tonight?
So it's the lead singer of Early November, which is a Hamilton, New Jersey-based band, and Ace Enders is playing an acoustic set. So totally unknown random band that I've loved my entire existence. And so, yeah, it's actually kind of funny. My two favorite bands, one's from New Jersey, Early November, and the other one's from Florida, Newfound Glory. So, I am the New Jersey, Florida line.
I love it. So thank you to everybody. A little bit of a schedule change. Normally we record on TikTok and we live stream on TikTok. So we pre-recorded this episode, premiered it over on YouTube tonight so people could still have that content so we don't have to skip a week because we know there are so many people that really enjoy these Disney debates. And let's be honest, we enjoy and live for these Disney debates every single week as well. But these topics have always been provided by our amazing friends over at the Walrus Carp Discord community. Thank you to the Discord community for providing us with this week's topic, which is going to be Retheme, rides, dining, attractions. And it's a very open-ended episode of Tiki Room Radio where we're going to get very creative and give you our best ideas. And then for those that are watching this premiere over on YouTube, they'll have a chance to vote and see whose ideas win the day and win the argument. So let us, as always, spin or flip the Spira or Spira. I
think it's
right.
So I personally, I think because it's from Black Spire Outpost, it should be called Spira, but it is not. It is Spira, which is so confusing.
I'm very confused because you said Spire, so I'm like, that makes so much sense because it's Black Spire Outpost.
It makes sense, but it's not. I've been corrected. It is Spira.
I've heard, because I was gonna say I've heard cast members call it Spirit, and here all along I'm like, okay.
I feel like it was supposed to be Spire and somebody mispronounced it, and now everybody mispronounces it. At least that's what I want to believe.
Tomato. It's currency. It's all good.
It's better than credits. All right, what are we? Are you calling it? Am I calling it?
You call it.
All right, give me heads.
Okay.
Outpost up.
Outpost up. It's outpost up.
Okay.
You are getting first topic. All right, so we have 5 pre-selected topics. I just wrote them down about 10 minutes ago. I mentioned them to you about 4 minutes ago. The fun of this show is that we never have a chance to sort of pre-script the argument. Everything is done on the fly. We are very much just here debating and coming up with these ideas on the fly. The fun is in the fight. The fun is in the debate. So we are going to take these 5 topics that were provided by the Discord community, put our debating skills to the test, and let you, the audience, decide who wins this scored argument. So again, we are retheming Disney attractions and dineries. The first one is a dinery, Kirk. So I'm going to give you, since you won, I'm going to give you the first go at retheming the Columbia Harbor House. And again, we have 1 minute.
How am I? I'm terrible. I don't even have my other phone. Like, I am the worst at this. Give me 2 seconds.
No problem. While he's grabbing his phone and we're getting set up with our timer, the way that these debates work is that we each have 1 minute.
I'm off my game in the YouTube land. I'm like, everything's fine. Everything is not fine, Mark. I need to wake up. It's early. I got my little coffee. I made this guy a long time ago and I never did anything with him. His name is Whippy, the Dole Whip, and Aloha from Aloha Isle. But clearly the coffee's not hit me yet. All right, I got the timer. I still don't have an answer yet. Columbia Harbor House. Give me 5 seconds to think of an answer.
I'm going to tell I'll give you more than 5 seconds because I'm going to tell the people. Again, we have 1 minute to establish our initial argument. And then there is a 30-second rebuttal round following.
All right, I'm good.
Each one of these debates. Kirk, you have 1 minute on the clock.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Rapunzel. We all love the tangled bathrooms. And guess what's super, super close to that? Columbia Harbor House. In fact, attached to the Columbia Harbor House are many little hidden Pascals, which is a really fun scavenger hunt you can do over in Fantasyland. But you know what would be great is instead of having Columbia Harbor House, which is a delicious eatery, is maybe let's get a Snuggly Duckling Tavern. They already have one at Tokyo Disneyland, so it would be very easy to retheme and just copy and paste what they already have. I think a lot of people would really enjoy it. And if they made it, personally, I would turn it into a table service. That way you could actually get a pint of ale there rather than what we have over at Gaston's Tavern, which is a non-alcoholic kind of like bar and eatery. So make it a table service. Give Rapunzel a little bit more love because she is such a great character. And I think all the sequencing and even the new shows that they have over at Magic Kingdom could all support a tangled Snuggly Duckling.
Darn you. I have to call
Did
it.
I take it?
Now. It's okay. It's okay. This is
it's a logical choice just where you're at.
It really is. And this is the fun of the show. This is what I love about the show is you're forcing me into an area that I have to come up with something on the fly. I think I have something good.
Okay. These are tougher because they're so open. So open. All right, you ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, you're in the neighborhood of the Haunted Mansion. Let's extend the fun and let's make it a Memento Mori horror bar. Turn the Columbia Harbor House into a Memento Mori horror bar. Get the Haunted Mansion vibe going all throughout that area. So you have the shop across the street. People love Haunted Mansion, and you know what they're going to love? A place to live, dine, and be in. Even more of that intellectual property. Yeah, Columbia Harbor House would be really great as Rapunzel. But you're starting to get into that area of Haunted Mansion territory. So let's just extend that theme more. People love Haunted Mansion. They want to live, breathe, and be there. You can have the story extending over to that area. Maybe it's the bride's tavern. Maybe it was one of her many husbands who owned the tavern. There's just so much that you can do and expand Haunted Mansion as a property by taking over Columbia Harbor House and giving people more of what they want, which is the Haunted Mansion. I had to come up with that on the fly, man. You took I have been on the Snuggly Duckling trip for a long time. I don't know how I did, but I had to come up with that on the fly.
I have so much that I want to help you with because I think you have a great response and it could just use some bolstering. When we'll do like a really, really quick voting session in here, like not our full normal time that we do. But I feel like I could help bolster your argument because you know me, Haunted Mansion stan over here. I could get down with what you're talking about.
Well, you've got your 30-second rebuttal, so whenever you are free to go, feel free to argue your 30 seconds and add anything that you want.
Malicious, mean, and scary. My sneer could curdle dairy. Listen, I think the music, the atmosphere, a boisterous, loud call and response, super highly themed location where you could actually physically get ADRs. I love Oga's more than Trader Sam's because it's just really frustrating to get in there. And I think people would love and probably be the most popular ADR to be able to sit and hang with all the ruffians entangled.
Okay, I'm ready for my 30 seconds.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I would love to hang with the ruffians, but you know what I'd really love to hang with? Spooks and specters and ghouls. I'd love to sit at that table and dine with the 999 happy haunts. That would be incredible. Imagine the imagineering of dining amongst ghosts. How cool that could be. Yeah, horror bars are like, it's not a new concept, but ones that have Disney Imagineering that have you as a part of the story would be a game changer. Bro, I'm kind of selling myself on this idea right now.
I think so. All right, I'm gonna help this one. What do we want to put? 20 seconds on the clock as we kind of like chat it up.
So let's give
20 or 30. You think 30?
Let's give people 30 seconds and tell them how we want to vote.
So different. Normally you guys are preconditioned to do sad and smiles. Just because this is easier, you can type to vote for Marc's argument for that it should be Haunted Mansion retheme for Columbia Harbor House. Just type in Marc, and that remember that's with a C. And I see you, Marc. And if you like my argument for the Snuggly Duckling, let's put a Kirk, K-I-R-K, not to be confused with Kurt Cameron. No, there's a Kirk Cameron. Never mind. I'm confusing everyone. Kurt Russell. So So we're going to put 30 seconds on the clock. Here you go. Just type it into the comments, Mark or Kirk.
That's very Pandora of you, man. I see you.
Yeah, thank you. They need to call it I told you, this is a great name. I use it on our merch. They call it the Famished Mortal. And in the Famished Mortal bar, you have like a whole entire storyline of because we see the ballroom and we know there's dining there, but we do not know who's cooking. So you could easily have an entire, ghost chef that is coming up with these great recipes. And it already has a good crossover because right now for the 50th, Columbia Harbor House is serving up, it's either at there's 4 different dishes or drinks for Haunted Mansion's the 50th anniversary. So like it's really cool that they already have that, and it's not that far of a departure. I think Memento Mori can be its own thing, and I think this would work really well either as a quick service or a sit down. I think if it's a sit down, they should make it like a show, like a murder mystery show or something a little bit more. Maybe the Dredd family owns and operates it, like something a little bit more robust that can make a connection. And like, like I'm disappointed that is it Diamond Horseshoe doesn't have shows, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's clamoring for when Hoop-de-Doo Review comes back. Like, give people like a fun experiential dining rather than just a great theme. Like, Be Our Guest, great theme. Could have been more experiential, could have been, but it's tough the way they have that mirrored. But if there was like a murder mystery, I mean, that's like a common theme. Could you imagine like solving what happened to, or learning more about your certain ghosts? They could expand about any of those ghosts.
People underestimate too. People love that genre. People love living and breathing in that genre. And Universal does a really good job in propping up the monsters. I mean, they have the Monsters Cafe. There's the horror makeup show over in their new park. They're going to have basically like they're going to have an Epic Universe. They're going to have a monsters universe over there. So people love horror, and I think people just love the Haunted Mansion. Dude, you forced me to kind of change my entire trajectory with that one, because I've said Snuggly Duckling. I'm not gonna lie, I might actually like a Famished Mortal more than I like a Snuggly Duckling.
I think, well, first of all, it would be the first of its kind, so it would be groundbreaking in that essence. And I also just know that Haunted Mansion is such a fan favorite. There's probably, I would say 30% of guests will say Haunted Mansion's their favorite attraction.
Yeah.
They can sell any merch that they want that is Haunted Mansion themed. It crushes. And so many of those ghosts are so popularized that I think it would actually do better than a Tangled one. The only thing I have to say about the Tangled one is a bathroom's not enough. It's just not enough for such good IP. So like Columbia Harbor House, like having this sea shanty-ish vibe is fine, but the reason why people go to Disney isn't to just feel like they're in a period piece. They go to live and breathe into the intellectual property that they fell in love with and the nostalgia as kids or a part of attractions or whatever. That's what they want.
And it also doesn't make the Columbia Harbor House doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense there. It really doesn't.
I mean, now that they have like the Sea Captain's Catch, like it makes a little bit more sense that we're supposed to be on a seawall, sea shanty-ish town. We're not supposed, even though the rivers of America are there, they built up in the construction, which was uncovered by Kate during the last Distery, is that wall was always called in the construction blueprints the seawall. You wouldn't call that for like a river wall. So I think they were trying to be like a nautical it's like New Boston. England coastal town, right? Like exactly. Mm-hmm.
It's harkening back to the Revolutionary times, and obviously Boston is the hearth of the descent that would become the American Revolution. So I understand it thematically from that aspect, but let's face it, just like the Hall of Presidents, a lot of that stuff is lost on people now. So I think they should start embracing more of the intellectual property. And I agree with you. Like, there's not enough Rapunzel period in the parks, and those bathrooms, it's kind of paltry to just have that. All right.
If they honestly, all right, ready? I have a whole other thing. This is like an aside.
Okay.
Rapunzel, Rhine River Cruise.
Ooh.
Like, you know how they have
Yeah.
all that space they're using it as a warehouse, and it was always supposed to be an attraction. There's nothing in Germany. Rapunzel gets a Rhine River cruise. It's already kind of outlaid. Just theme it to Rapunzel, and at last you'll see the light. Could you imagine? Stop. It'd crush.
Listen, man, you saying that now gives me hope because I've got a dream. I've got a dream.
Yeah. Well, you know,
down the line together.
As soon as you become president of Disney Parks, I look forward to all these changes.
Oh my gosh. Listen, I see, but here's the problem with a guy like me. That's the space that I would live in. Like I'm not an X's and O's guy. I would want to live in that creative space and just Imagineer. So I don't know if I'd want to be president. I'd like to head up a team like WED. That to me is a dream job. The X's and O's of parks and looking at profit and loss and
here's the deal though. You need somebody to like, if Eisner wasn't there, who is a creative when he left not Universal, when he left was it Paramount? Where was he from? What was the studios he was from? But when Eisner left and came to the parks,
yeah,
he was front facing, stage facing, directing kind of mentality and creative. He wasn't P&L until the board kind of browbeat him into P&L. But you still had to have him greenlight all the extra gates that he opened, which was 3. So like, if without him, you wouldn't get that. So that's what I mean. Like, you need somebody at the top to say yes to the money flow. I guarantee right now, Imagineers have some of the most amazing ideas. They just don't have the green light or cash flow or somebody going, I believe in this enough that we will be able to amortize, monetize, and bring in enough capital to fund this. And it's going to be timeless. All right, dude, I love this show. And like, we are like way off the rails. So let's get back into it.
We're long in the tooth right now on just the first topic. All right. Topic number 2, which I get to go second on. Topic number 2 is Stitch's Great Escape, which has long now been shuttered over in Tomorrowland. The space was a meet and greet for a while, and it sits idle. A lot of people have clamored to see something come there because it's primary real estate over in Tomorrowland. It's sitting there doing nothing.
It needs to be used. Whatever you say, I'm going to agree because it's better than vacancy.
All right. So here we go. Give me my 1 minute, and
3,
I'm going to go.
2, 1.
All right, listen, you know where I'm going with this because you know where my heart is, and it's with Wreck-It Ralph. I love Wreck-It Ralph. I feel like video games are something that can always be in the future. There's something that's there for that you can have a virtual reality experience, or you can have some kind of VR experience where you're in some kind of show in the round and involve some kind of live action component. But I would love to see a VR show, a Wreck-It Ralph show there, something that that's taking you to a digital realm. And it's, again, video games are timeless. There's something that they were born in the late 70s and early 80s, but it's something that's very forward looking, and video games can take you into this digital realm, into this world of the future, and it can kind of suspend your disbelief that you're not in a theme park. I think that space is right for a Wreck-It Ralph retheme. And I also think that Wreck-It Ralph would fit right into that aesthetic of Tron, so that if you have like the video game world of Tron, Wreck-It Ralph could live in that space.
Well, just like the last one, you done did it, Mark, and stole what I was going to say. So,
okay.
All right, I need a buffer time here to rethink and retool.
I'm telling you right now, that's not a good spot to be in, because I was like, all right, I'll just go Rapunzel on this one.
No, do you know what I am right now, Mark?
All right.
Mark, do you know what this is?
You're grasping.
Yeah. I am reaching. We're grasping. Yeah, there's no straws though, right?
Do you have any straws in the kitchen?
I have 0. There's 0. I am like not within an arm reach of straws here. Okay, let me think of an IP that would work in that area.
It's all I know. See, like where he's living right now, ladies and gentlemen, in his headspace. I know exactly where he is because he did this to me not 10 minutes ago.
Yeah,
he took my idea, and it was a great idea.
Okay,
so I know where he is, and I'm filling so that he can go.
Okay,
are you set? He thinks he's good.
I'm not good. I'm not good. I'm not good. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Lightyear. All right, I know we have Buzz Lightyear across the way with Space Ranger Spin. Astro Blasters in Disneyland, better attraction. That's neither here nor there. But Lightyear coming out is a more serious version of Buzz Lightyear, where across the way, it's still very much like a kiddie ride. I think you could do something that is very serious and something that is experiential. They've started getting into VR. I don't think that's the space for it, but there is enough room for them to do some sort of, and I agree with you here, that a video game space that could be updated where maybe you are part of Lightyear going after Zurg in like a more experiential way, I think would be really fun. Does it need to be a ride? I don't think so. I think this one could even be a 3D animated show because we don't have enough of those. And I think if it was really done well with the 4D effects, it could work really well with IP that's coming out and is more serious.
Slow clap, my friend, on the fly. Slow clap. The only thing that would hurt that, give me my 30 seconds and
all right,
let me put this on the record.
Don't punch me with this. All right, 3, 2, 1.
All right, it's great. And I'm going to give you that. It's great. But the only thing that hurts it is right across the way. It's like a Starbucks across from a Starbucks. They're both great. It's Starbucks on both ways, but we really need a Joffrey's when we don't want another Starbucks there. To that end, Wreck-It Ralph has zero representation aside from now a Vanellope Von Schweetz meet and greet over in Epcot. And people love Wreck-It Ralph. Ralph and Vanellope deserve something. Buzz is so overdone. And I love it. And I love it. But that's it. You got your 30 seconds. Whenever you're set, I await.
I'm ditching Buzz. Let's do Star Wars. Okay. We don't have Star Wars inside of Tomorrowland like they do over in Disneyland. I'm out. Let's ditch it. Let's go right into Star Wars and have a Star Wars experience that is awesome and more interesting than Buzz. I agree. It would be, because like if you want to do Star Wars, you have to go to Hollywood Studios. They're really or Disney Springs to like even find any of the merch. So give a Star Wars experience. I don't care what it is, just something that's enjoyable for people in Tomorrowland. I'm out on Buzz. I had to abandon. Unprecedented, but I had to. I hate it. I hated it.
This is unprecedented, ladies and gentlemen. We've never had this.
I've convinced myself that I don't like the argument, and I full-hearted. Just like I think you've convinced yourself that the horror bar could work. I could not convince myself that Lightyear could work. I can't. It's just too unwaveringly bad of an idea.
I don't know if it's a bad idea. I think you're being. It's just. Toy Story, I get it. People love Toy Story. So again, let's put this to a vote as we're having this free-flowing discussion. Let's give 30 seconds time. If you think that my argument for Wreck-It Ralph is the better argument, please type Mark in a comment. If you think that Star Wars or Lightyear, I'll give you both of them, is the better argument, type Kirk. In an unprecedented move, we have two kind of topics that we're throwing out there. I feel like that's as close to a concession as I'm gonna get, but maybe I'll lose in the comments. Who knows?
I almost literally just went, you win. I almost did that, but then I thought, you know what? Legitimately, like dig deep. You don't quit in this. You don't quit. So what do you do when you don't like where you're at? You change. You alter the plan.
Yeah.
So the altered plan
a little deeper.
The only thing I have is like, here's one thing that I desperately wish would actually happen is I wish we got Hyperspace Mountain, because Space Mountain is long in the tooth. They already have that ability to make Hyperspace Mountain. And I've watched TikTok lives where streamers are overriding Hyperspace Mountain, and it is easily one of the coolest experiences I've ever seen. It looks gorgeous with the projections. It's an actual, I mean, there is a storyline to Space Mountain, but that's really where I think Star Wars could live. I don't know how you would do it. Where Wreck-It Ralph, I still don't know, like, what does that attraction even look like? I've seen some concept art for being trapped in the internet. You got to get out, but like you're stationary. So how does a stationary, because remember, we're like kind of in like a smaller space to be able to utilize. And I know creativity could be boundless there, but like, what would that attraction physically look like?
Dude, that is such a great point. And I've thought about that too, but over in New York City, they have a Harry Potter VR experience where you sit on a broomstick.
Oh, and dude, that's so sick.
You
I didn't
sit
know
on
that existed.
Yeah, so you sit on a broomstick, and then the broomstick will obviously swivel. You have the headgear on, you have the audio that's pumping in, and you basically have these sensors that are placed on your hands that allow you to cast spells. They give you a wand.
Is that like fun or hokey? Because I went to do the VR experience, which is right now it's free. It's basically a promotion to sell Oculus 2s through
Yeah.
Meta. But I got to go into that cantina space on Batu, eat a virtual Ronto wrap, and then shoot a bunch of the Death Squad or Death Gang. And I was
Yeah.
like, it's okay. It's not. It's just like any other video game. I
It's
didn't
a
feel
video
like I
game.
was stepping into a world. But how was the
Well,
Harry Potter? Was that more immersive feeling? Did you?
here's the thing. It's a video game. But here's where I say, like, this is why I will argue for a Wreck-It Ralph. In an 8-bit world, when you're trying to make it look realistic and you're trying very hard to make it look hyper realistic, I think it's gonna fail on in some regard because it's not. It's just as much VR as you try to make it, unless it's a true experience and you're manipulating real world imagery, it's gonna look like it's a video game. But here's the thing, if you purposefully make it look like an 8-bit world, it allows you to suspend your disbelief, and it doesn't have to look real. It just has to look like Wreck-It Ralph.
What if when you went in, right? Like let's ditch the internet idea because I think that's where they were going with some sort of like Ralph Breaks the Internet style ride.
Yeah.
What if it was like you were going into that power outlet junction and you had several different choose your own adventure, more like a play pavilion kind of thing where you could have different virtual experiences.
Or
I think flow would probably be tough with that, but so
or
maybe you station it like everybody goes through each experience for a certain stage period and keeps them moving.
You give people a light rifle, you can make it hero's duty and just completely embrace the video game.
Yep.
There's a lot that you could do there. What I love most about Wreck-It Ralph is it's very open-ended enough that the world is your oyster. Once you're in that space, the world of gaming and video gaming is expansive enough that you could make it work, but you could also tie it to the IP in virtually any way that you want and make it really fun and have that space be something that's really timeless and truly timeless because it's not going to age out. And if people say, I'm kind of bored of that, well, then just change the video game.
Yeah, that's like one of those plug and play, and they have enough video games that they could mess with. I think, you know what? Why not what's the King Candy's game? Like what if it was
You're not going turbo, are you?
What if you could sit in a cart and it moves, but it's virtual? Because they kind of did that with the Mario Kart stuff at Universal. And I know that moves on a track. So there's a little bit more to that. And we don't have enough space there. But what if there was a sensation of a track, but you physically could move it and, like be on.
Yeah, Ratatouille does that, where you're just basically on plates that jostle the ride vehicle to make you feel like you're moving, but they're not. I mean, they're not.
But like with an interactive piece of like you being able to steer, I think kids would enjoy that too. Adults, especially if there was I think replayability is really important when it comes to attractions, and like things like Toy Story Mania have replayability, Astro Blasters replayability. So like people who are there have like numerical things to go after. So like a time, like the fastest time, or I don't know how that would be, but something to that effect would be really interesting.
I like it. All right, man. Third topic. You're up first again. This time, we're heading over to Epcot, leaving the Magic Kingdom, and you're gonna get to go first again. No, you could do whatever you want. Honestly, we make the rules. It's our game. But
just keep on adding additional things.
Sure, you get to retheme Spaceship Earth, so you get 1 minute on the clock. We are retheming Spaceship Earth. As we know, there was supposed to be a glow up to Spaceship Earth, which was canceled. The retheme or the retread of this ride was supposed to take place, and that has been indefinitely canceled. So we're going to finish that up and give it a completely new idea.
Okay. Now, this may seem unoriginal, but I love this IP so much. And they did a show one time with lasers on Spaceship Earth. Let's make Spaceship Earth the Death Star. Let's turn that thing into the Death Star permanently. And each one of the scenes or vignettes could be a new hope. Because the biggest problem that we have with Star Wars is that kids don't necessarily know any of the old characters. They know pretty much all the sequels. So I think it would be really interesting, much like the Lego video game goes through the entire Skywalker saga. Maybe it's a Death Star and we go through the entire Skywalker saga and it teaches through each one of the scenes a new, special, unique section, or it could be a completely different canon storyline where you're going through as an Imperial trooper and your experience as the Death Star is being attacked by the rebels. And how does that make you feel? TK421.
Okay.
TK421.
Do you copy? We're fine. Everything's fine here. Situation normal. How are you?
How are you? Just starts shooting this. All right, you ready?
All right.
3, 2, 1.
All right, so I'm going to completely change pace with this idea. I don't feel like there's enough showcases talking about the brilliance of Disney. So right now, as currently constituted, it's a discussion on like basically the history of mankind and communication, and looking at how technology and communication and throughout time has changed the course of history. I would like to see this be a vignette and the history of imagination and Imagineering as it pertains to the Walt Disney World Company. I would love to see this become a dark ride or a snippet of scenes throughout the company's history where these big decisions were made. Take in, elements of Mary Poppins, take in moments, of the journey of Walt Disney, even the sadness surrounding his death and the company having to change direction and find new leadership. This would be great. People love the Imagineering story. So have the Imagineering story play out in scenes from IP and history of Walt Disney World, talking about the achievement. I had to change it up, man. I had to change it up.
No, very respectful. 3, 2, 1. Mark wants to kill Walt Disney over and over and over again and make you sad. I don't. I want you to have a good time. So here's the biggest problem I have with that. It still doesn't change Spaceship Earth as an icon. I think it's great, but if you want a real true glow up, imagine the amazing shows we could do. Disneyland Paris utilizes drones. Could you imagine X-Wings, B-Wings, Y-Wings all swooping down as drones attacking the Death Star and blowing it up every night? Yes, please. Sign me up. Yeehaw! Okay.
I can't believe I'm saying this, and I'm kind of self-loathing for doing it. So set my clock.
3, 2, 1.
I feel like there's too much Star Wars in parks if we make this thing the Death Star. I can't even believe I just uttered those things. We have Star Wars over in Galaxy's Edge. I don't think that we need it to take over Epcot as well. And yes, I understand it's cool to have a Death Star overlay occasionally, but there's too much Star Wars in parks already. Taking that and making that Star Wars strays so far from what Epcot was originally supposed to be, which was this place where Walt Disney imagined a world of the future. I think by putting Star Wars there just really loses what Epcot is supposed to be at its heart. I can't believe I just said that. I'm sorry, Mark.
You're a disgusting human. I disagree with everything about you. No, you know what? Honestly, here's my thought process about the Star Wars, and I agree with you. Like, it could get excessive.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, like, I think there should be a Marvel element in almost every one of the parks.
I know
the fact that we don't have like a Marvel-y element, like that's what they should really. Well, I don't know if it's on there. Is Launch Bay on there at all or no?
I don't have Launch Bay on there, but man, what a great. Could we just do that one? Not a sport argument. Could we do that one really fast?
Well, like I know we can't do Adventures Campus, but that would really be the ripe area to do an Adventures Campus. But I think like Marvel, because it's cinematic, because it's movie, because it's like that whole entire Voyage, Launch Bay, Disney Junior, that whole thing could become some sort of, if it's just Cosmic or just Guardians that you can do. Yeah. Just make it a whole Guardians land, and there's enough IP that you could figure it out and make it work. Because I get that there's competing and there's license issues, but it needs to have a space somehow. I don't know how, but
so there are compete, and I would need to analyze and look at that contract. But obviously, there are non-Avengers characters that can be utilized in perpetuity. Guardians of the Galaxy is proof positive that the agreement that they came to with Marvel was not so all-inclusive, that there are characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that they can utilize and put in those various spaces. And I agree with you. Like, I think that first of all, that old launch bay is just wasted space. That whole area of the park, Voyage of the Little Mermaid, the dance, the dance party. I get it. A lot of families love the dance party. If you have younger kids, it's great. But that area of the park needs to be completely uprooted and reimagined. I mean, it's sitting there right in the center of the park, and it's dead.
It's completely. So I've had two ideas for that. One that I know will never happen, which is give us the Great Muppet Ride that we were supposed to get. That was going to be a parallel to the Great Movie Ride, and make that a whole Muppets area. Muppets is, for all intents and purposes, it's underutilized IP, even though it's fantastic. Really, what should go there is some sort of Marvel-y thing. You take Launch Bay, and now that we have Batu, I was talking about this on a stream yesterday. Take all of the artifacts, because now we can call them artifacts, and put them in a museum piece that can be in Batu somewhere, because there's a lot of room in between that you could create this like museum within Black Spire, because you have Doc Ondar's Antiquities, but you're buying antiques. This is an antique dealer. This is somebody who's showcasing history, and then you could have like a roving or moving exhibit that changes, and that would also give guests something new to look forward to in Batu, to look at these fun things. Now you lose the meet and greet with Darth, but you could reintroduce Chewie over there. It'd be old Chewie, so a gray Chewie, and you could do BB-8 for sure, and do Rey. You would lose Darth Vader unless you want to do a Kylo Ren. We don't have a Kylo Ren meet and greet. We just have a stand in front of the TIE Echelon and hope he talks to you.
Which you used to have too over in that space. Before it was Darth Vader, it was a Kylo Ren meet and greet.
Right. So like, why not kind of bring that back so that it's period piece wise authentic to Batu? It makes sense. But then you could have, I don't know.
I agree. All right. The people have spoken. Who knows? At this point, it might have been a clean sweep, but guess what? Because we don't know, we're going to give you a topic 4 and 5 regardless, and see how this thing winds up getting scored live while we're debating on YouTube. So I
think you crushed it with that Wreck-It Ralph. If you guys didn't vote for Marc for Wreck-It Ralph, for shame. For shame.
All right. I am up. So we're going to be retheming. We did a quick service. So now we're going to be doing a table service, which is, again, currently sitting empty, sitting idle. It was a refreshment space, basically an air-conditioned space. And now it's doing absolutely nothing over in the Norway Pavilion. Also a very polarizing option that a lot of people did not enjoy the cuisine at Akershus's dining hall. So we are going to be reimagining that space and coming up with a different concept for Akershus. Okay. In cuisine, in the look and feel of it, but we're gonna reimagine that space.
Okay. You ready?
All right. I'm ready.
3, 2, 1.
All right, let's just not ignore the fact it's the elephant in the room. Frozen has taken over Norway. It's not even the Norway Pavilion anymore, as much as it is basically just a tribute to Anna and Elsa and Arendelle. So just go full Frozen in that space and make that basically the coronation banquet hall, and have that be, if it doesn't have to be a full-on dining thing, make it a dessert party. Make it a 24/7 dessert party. You walk in, you smell chocolate. Just go with the idea of it's a nonstop dessert party. You're greeted by Anna, Elsa, Olaf, Sven, Kristoff. Have the Fab Five of the Frozen world there doing meet and greets, and then turn it over. Have seatings throughout the day. Have it be a nonstop dessert party, either starting in the morning or starting at midday and then going till late in the night. Ice cream, chocolates, Norwegian desserts. Real fun for the kids, and have it be a hybrid meet and greet / dessert party nonstop. I like that idea.
So I like it too, but the only thing I have a problem with it is it doesn't seem that much of a departure from Akershus. You're right. Akershus did have some things like smoked whitefish that turned some folks off. But honestly, like we are trying to learn about cultures here, and I appreciate that Norway still had that. But if you're going to do some sort of departure, we already have a frozen dessert party where you get to skip the line afterwards. It already has chocolate fondue. Not really that new of an idea. A banquet hall. It already is a banquet hall. So like, once again, all you're doing is making it frozen. Adding a meet and greet. We already have an Anna and Elsa meet and greet at Summer House. So here's what I want. Oakens. And Oaken now has opened up his own restaurant, and there is a meet and greet. Who would not want to eat at Oaken's Eatery and make it this like really fun, big summer blowout of all of these delicious Norwegian style foods that are more approachable for kids and make it really fun.
Woohoo! Big summer blowout.
Big summer blowout.
All right, give me my 30 seconds because I love both of these ideas. I don't know what I'm going to do because I think I have a very unorthodox rebuttal here for my 30 seconds because I love both of these ideas.
3, 2, 1.
So listen, man, I'm just going to use my 30 seconds to tell me before I met you, life was just a series of doors in my face. And then suddenly I run into you. I had been searching my whole life to find my own place. And maybe it's the podcast talking or this chocolate fondue. But with you, I found my place. And it's nothing like I've never known before. This podcast is an open door. That's all I've got for my rebuttal.
This podcast is an open door.
I loved both of those ideas, so I can't go against you. But to say they're both frozen, they're both amazing. Let people just pick one frozen idea or another.
Yep. All right. 3, 2. Do I have a rebuttal? I can't. My brain's broken. I'm still not awake. I think I got one. Right.
Go ahead.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Dude, you know what? You bring up a really good point that I didn't think about, and that would be why not have a little bit of a hands-on experience and bring that bad boy into Oaken so that, you know, villains don't get enough love in the parks. And I actually like the idea of potentially having him show up in this as a meet and greet style location. Because once again, these character dinings would be really fun. But like if you had Oaken, Kristoff, Olaf, and Hans, I know there's no princesses, but I don't know. I think people would really dig it.
Okay, entree idea for that. You can have a plate called We Finish Each Other's Sandwiches and have it be like the panini, but instead of having it being for like, you know, serving for X amount, you can have it be a serving for 2.
A serving for 2. And I think what you do is you take like a little molds that looks like somebody took like one little bite out of it. Do you know what I mean? Just like for thematics and, but like make it a ridiculously huge sandwich. So that way, you know, it makes sense that you would be sharing. All right, 30 seconds on the clock. Remember, if you agree with Mark, you're going to type Mark. And if you agree with Kirk, you type Kirk. And I don't know why I'm talking in the third person. So
can I just tell you something that regardless of who wins here, I feel like Disney is winning because these ideas are gold. If there is someone out there in Imagineering, please like happen upon this podcast and say, there were these 2 guys that were having way too much fun at 8 o'clock in the morning talking about all these ideas, and we're going to co-opt one of them. Co-op, you finish each other's sandwiches, please. Like,
dude, you could, I mean, it's tough, right? Because like, where do you put that? You wouldn't put it at the kiosk that's in the front that does beer. You wouldn't put it in Kringla, even though it would make sense for it to go in Kringla.
Yeah.
But do you know, just because you're cued in with Chip and Co and everything, is there any kind of thought process for Akershus to open back up or no?
No, there's really been no mention of it. Now I know for a while, I think it was Atlantic Health had set up like space in there and there was like some kind of sponsorship as like a wellness.
It was like really. And I mean, listen, Disney throughout its long, diverse history has utilized sponsorship to amortize down costs. And I'm okay with that if it makes sense. I don't know how the healthcare one did make sense, except for they're a big partner and they're looking to do signups. And I'm sure it, you know, monetarily it made sense, but thematically, I think it was slightly amiss. But yeah, Akershus could easily be turned into something else. They already have all the workings in there. And it could be just a buffet, you know? Like maybe it's like, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, it needs to be utilized.
There's too much potential in that area. and it's a gorgeous restaurant. There's just too much potential there to let it sit and become a storage space.
Dude, I am so in love though I am like stuck on this Punzi ride in Germany. I am stuck on it bad. I got the cure, and the only cure is more tangled.
I don't hate that idea. All right, the last round, you are up again, drawing first. We're going back to the Magic Kingdom to finish with a whole heck of a lot of real estate, man. And that is Tom Sawyer Island, to reimagine either the whole thing or putting something on Tom Sawyer Island. Let's reimagine that space and give it a purpose. Not to say that I know it's got its fans, but there have been a lot of calls to reutilize Tom Sawyer Island. And we're doing it on the show, a bit controversial maybe, but we're taking on the task nonetheless. So you have 1 minute to retheme Tom Sawyer Island and repurpose and reimagine it to your own whims. Here we go. 1 minute on the clock. Engage.
I ain't got time for messing around. Anyway, it's not my style. This old town could slow you down, people taking the easy way. I need to see Princess Tiana and New Orleans come to Tom Sawyer's Island. Tom Sawyer Island could easily get rethemed into a Princess and the Frog land. Across the way, we are already getting a retheme of Splash to a Princess and the Frog location. We can now finally get Tiana's Place. Go across to Aunt Polly's, utilize the restaurant that never gets utilized, and turn it into Tiana's Place or Tiana's Palace. Could be a quick service. It could be a table service. That restaurant would crush. We do need to add a bridge there so people can get back and forth relatively easily. And then at the end, you could have a Dr. Facilier or even a down in New Orleans, like beignet location that has shows and music and has jazz. It'd be awesome.
Okay.
You tell me when you're right.
I don't know. I might need filler for a second.
Okay. Yeah. So
I'm back in the same spot I was with Columbia Harbor House. I was going to go Tiana.
Yeah. I think there's like obvious choices for some of these, which makes it really challenging. The one thing that I think all of us can agree is that there are, and I think everybody who's a Disney fan is just waiting for the moments where, as Walt had said, these parks are not a museum. They're waiting for the change that they deserve. It's not like we're not getting enough. I just feel that sometimes people go, even if it's small things, like we're talking about big rethemes here, but let's say it's something very tiny, like, oh, that was a missed opportunity to make this glow in the dark or that sparkle, or whether it's a merch thing, whether it's a food thing that thematically could get tweaked really quick and sell a ton for them and be not that difficult to execute. I think all of us just like look for those little tiny details that would enrich your experience. Now, this is a much larger undertaking, but Tom Sawyer's Island is, as just a whole, is outdated, much like the Great Movie Ride as canon is awesome. And I love living in that historical perspective. It's also kind of like harkening back to Spaceship Earth. I agree that it would be nice to see some sort of like legacy history, but I think that falls on deaf ears in terms of experience for most people, much like kind of Spaceship Earth falls on deaf ears as like a communication tool. I don't think anybody uses it as that. It's just like a nostalgia sound piece, Yeah. Did I burn enough time for you?
You did, and I'm not really left with an option that I'm loving. But again, we don't give up. We go right into the breach. Here is the problem, though. Here's the problem. Before I get into my argument, Frontierland, you can put stuff there, but then thematically, it kind of doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like, I have ideas that I think would be really great with that space, but it doesn't work there because it's in Frontierland. So I'm gonna try to fit.
But think about like Splash. I know this is an aside, but think about like Splash getting rethemed.
Yeah,
like we're going down the bayou in Frontierland.
It is.
It's a reach.
It is, but like regionally, it is a reach. But you can also make an argument that while it's the Deep South and you're going down to the bayou, that maybe it's just geographically a little bit further down the road, but you're heading in the right direction so people can.
It's a reach. It's a reach because like when I think of Frontierland, I think going out west.
Yeah.
I think like I'm past the Mississippi. I'm nowhere near the bayou. I am in, the land of just rolling hills, plains,
Well,
American bison, like super far out, cacti. Like there's no cacti. Like it just thematically, it doesn't really work for me. But
all right, well, that's why I'm going to ask people to suspend their disbelief and just roll with me on mine. Okay,
I got you. Okay, you tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
3, 2.
All right, so I need you to suspend your disbelief, and we're going to head across the pond. So turn that river into an ocean, and let's head across the pond. Let's create an entire new land, and let's set it in Europe, and let my theme be brave. Let's go on a journey with the wisps. Let's give Merida a true place. Let's put a little castle over there, and let's make that whole island be themed as if we're going across the pond over to Scotland, and let's turn it into an island, and let's make that entire island a walkthrough, but make it a brave walkthrough. Maybe have that meet and greet that's now in that space, have a meet and greet be over there. There's so much territory that we can turn that into its own little island of Scotland. Let's make it brave land, and let's turn that riverboat into maybe a Viking ship, and let's get people over to that area, and let's completely retheme it, and let's put brave over on Tom Sawyer Island. It's a stretch, but I'm grasping. Kirk, what am I doing?
I think you're grasping or reaching. Is that true?
I'm grasping, and I'm asking people to believe.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. That was very brave of you to come up with that response. Honestly, I'm going to bolster you a little bit. If they like forested it up, I think it actually could work really well, and just change out the rafts rather than like you got to leave the riverboat. But anyway, going back to Tiana, we need that restaurant. Like we need that restaurant. That's it. Yeah. I will die on that hill that if we don't get Tiana's place or Tiana's palace, because it does get used duality wise. If we don't have a place for gumbo and beignets in Magic Kingdom, after the retheme, like gross. Like we need that. Like, and there's a lot of places it could go.
All right, give me my 30.
All right. Sorry, I went a little long because I felt like fine. I just wanted to agree with a portion because I do think you got some good nuggets there. So, all right, 3, 2.
Well, I'm also going to agree with you that we do need a Tiana's place, but I'm also going to argue that the Diamond Horseshoe is the perfect space for that. That it's right there in the territory, and I think the aesthetic you can just tweak to have that be. And again, the Diamond Horseshoe is criminally underutilized right now, so I think giving it that retheme is going to give it that new breath of life that's really going to bring people to it. That said, if as you walk around Disneyland, the IP changes virtually in like steps. So I don't think it's unnecessary to say like we can accept Brave being right in the heart of that area.
Yeah, I think you're correct. I actually like that Diamond Horseshoe because once again, like I feel a can style show is a little bit lost, and we already kind of have a frontiery. If people want to do that, you go to Hoopty.
Okay, so same thing. You have the stage there. Listen, why not have an animatronic version of
Lewis?
Like not there you go, not Country Bears, but an animatronic Lewis, like a jazz band that ascends from the stage every 5 and 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be like a Sunny Eclipse where it's playing all the time. But again, you have the technology, you have animatronics, have an animatronic Lewis that's playing jazz music, beignets. Dude, how amazing would that be right there?
Yeah, I mean, I really do think all right, so let's put 30 seconds on the clock so people can vote. So again, remember, if you agree with Mark with Brave, you're going to type in Mark with a C. And if you agree with me and Tiana, you're going to write Kirk with a K. So, dude, honestly, I look at the Splash gift shop that's been closed forever, the one that's like Briar Patch themed, and maybe it becomes like Mama Odie's because that's like more thematically there. But like if Mama Odie's carried, now I want different beignets than the ones that you get at Port Orleans French Quarter. I do not want Mickey shaped beignets. I want square beignets that remind us of Disneyland's Jazz Kitchen, which is a third-party company, but more traditional, like a Cafe Du Monde style rectangular beignet, powdered sugar. But because it's Tiana, and this isn't traditional to do honey, then powdered sugar on top to make them actually a Tiana style beignet. And then gumbo, because Madame Odie is cooking that gumbo with the hot sauce, and you could even sell little hot sauce or Cajun Madame Odie sauce stuff. Like they're just, the cuisine is so good. That would be such a great quick service. I think even flow traffic wise could work really well with mobile order and not gum it up too much, especially if you path people in front of Splash or whatever they retheme and call Splash. But that would be a good quick service area. And like, I think about gumbo doesn't require a lot of kitchen space, and neither do the beignets in terms of like equipment wise.
Yeah.
So like carry just gumbo and beignets and be done with it. Like simple is right. And it could work really well there. If we don't get even if it's just a beignet kiosk, like if we don't get beignets with the Tiana retheme, that is such a miss by Disney, because they would sell extremely well and they would be thematically on par, and it could work in that space. They have other even if they dumped, like, I don't want to dump Westward Ho, but you could. If you needed to, you could dump Westward Ho and turn that into Tiana's beignets, and it still would quasi work. Just like thinking like for ease of use.
I think you need to, instead of a kiosk though, I really think you have to have a dedicated space, because they would be so popular. I think you would need a kitchen that's going to be able to handle that workload. It's not like churros, which are also like quick moving for, I don't know why, because they're awful at Disney World, but you can't rely on like having a cart to have to re-deliver them. You're going to have them cooked fresh and on demand for the quality of them too.
I mean, the other thing that they could do is the playground space. So they have that little laughing place area at the end of Splash. The only thing that is a negative there is like thinking about throughway. Right there is a big throughway. So how are you going to queue people up when the train comes back? How are you going to queue people up exiting off of Tiana's Mountain? I don't know. It's so that's why I want to go with the gift shop. I think that gift shop could be Madame Odie's place, and it would be in the bayou. They don't even have to change like the briar patch that much. Like thematically, it could turn into like roots, like big old Spanish moss tree style roots, and just,
that's amazing.
Just dump the, like, cut the spikes off, and it could make it. I don't know. But
well, dude, here's what I can tell you again, because this is pre-recorded. Neither one of us know who win, but we will, of course, on our next episode, catch people up on the audio version of the podcast and let them know who prevailed in this episode. It's going to live over on Walrus Carp and premiere tonight. So if you want to see it in its full form and see the voting, you can, of course, head over there and check that out. But this was really amazing. Thank you to Ellie for this topic. Dude, I am excited that look, that there's people who are smarter than you and I. So if you and I can come up with these concepts, I can only imagine what some of the Imagineers over at Disney are thinking right now.
Yeah, I mean, they live and breathe this even more than us, and they're super creative. But you know what? It just means that there's so much opportunity for change within something that's already great, that I do think about this a lot. Listening to feedback and customer surveys, although helpful, it's like it's challenging, right?
Yeah.
I almost feel like Disney would do well with a bunch of really, really super dedicated users of the theme park, like somebody who goes there at least 30 times a year, who could tell them institutionally, like a panel of these experts that could change out, and they just field questions with them and take in some of the ideas that get utilized to make alterations in the parks. Because I do feel much like the people who are doing the work have all the answers to how to solve things. The customers who are experiencing the parks probably have a lot of the answers on how to improve the parks. And I think would be, not outlandish, and be responsible because they understand what's doable and what's not because of their history with the parks. I think it could benefit them at least as a as a feedback loop that's probably underserved, or maybe they're already doing it. I'm a fool, and just maybe it's a monetary cost, and they just haven't, like, we'll get to it when we can get to it, the kind of thing, which is plausible.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that that's what it is too, is they know that they only have a certain amount of resources or whatever. And, right now, like, let's not forget two major undertakings at Epcot and the Magic Kingdom, that we have two blockbuster rides that were being constructed simultaneously in Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind and the Tron coaster. So it's not like, and oh, by the way, and a complete and totally an overhaul of Epcot, like top to bottom.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
not like Disney's resources aren't being put to work right now.
Sure.
They are. It's just, for us, we imagine this as like that there's just an unlimited supply of money and labor to have these whims of ours be catered to. And the truth is that's not realistic. Disney can't have the entire park be in flux just because we've deemed it necessary. And it's, let's face it too, if everything is under construction, it's not an enjoyable guest experience. So I'm pretty sure that Disney probably knows a lot of this stuff and has already earmarked it for some phase of development. It's just, we don't see behind the curtain. We don't know when, we don't know how, we don't know why. So we get impatient wanting it all now. And that's society. We want instant gratification. We want these things done right now. I'm sure that Disney knows. I'm sure they look at these spaces and go, there's nothing happening here, and there will be, but we've got to get to it when we can, and it's not high on our priority list right now. So
yeah, I mean, they're doing the things that they can do relatively easy. A lot of them are food items. People love food items, and people love merch. Those are easy for them to tweak and adjust and add consistently. But I think, rightfully so, the park should have one medium to major innovation point, whether that's a retheme, an eatery, a ride. Something should happen. A show should happen major, medium, not minor, not small stuff, like medium to major a year per park, to keep things fresh, to keep people coming back. Six Flags Great Adventure was putting in a roller coaster almost every single year. Now, there was an arms race between them and Cedar Point in Ohio, but Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey was putting out a roller coaster a year. That's a huge investment monetarily to bring people coming back to become the roller coaster capital of America. And Disney already knows that they have people, but it is a destination location. It is not like Disneyland where people go there just for the night or the afternoon. So if you want it to be a destination, you need to draw them. And the best way to draw them is by doing something larger scale than, what we've gotten in the past. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to, I don't want to see just one thing happen a year and be okay with that, because I know we can do better. And I know there are resources, especially with Disney Plus. Disney Plus has been such a dream. I know that the parks have been hurting, but the parks are jammed all the time now. There is no slow time in the parks. And whether that's the 50th celebration that's drawing people who were waiting, whether that was COVID cancellations and during the lockdowns, or whether it's just people going, you know what, I got to reprioritize my life, and I've always wanted to do this, so what better time than now? It'll be curious to see if August, September, January, February of next year, post 50th, are the slow times again, where you can walk on everything. I would love that, but I don't imagine that is happening anytime soon.
I don't
within
see
the next 5 years.
No, I don't see that happening for two reasons. Is one, I think the Guardians coaster, you haven't done it yet, and I don't want to spoil anything, but let's just say, I think that's going to reinvigorate Epcot. Epcot's going to become a destination until October, November, which, if you haven't seen this already, the ride vehicle for Tron was testing yesterday. It was running on the track. So when that kind of stuff starts to happen, I mean, aside from finishing touches here and there, they're testing the ride vehicle. That bodes really well for a 2022, early 2023 release for Tron.
Yeah,
And
I think
that happens, huge.
I think Tron, they'll attempt to get it open for the 50th, but honestly, I think it's better served doing a soft open DVC, CM, AP preview in April, and Rocket in May, right before Memorial Day next year. I think that makes more sense to draw people back rather than giving it to them now.
Yep.
But that's I may be way off. The progress is going way faster than I thought.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I think a lot of it too. A lot of it was them just the uncertainty of pandemic and their numbers being so off. The parks are making money again, which helps, because I think that people reinvesting and recommitting to the idea of the parks has really reinvigorated Disney to know, hey, we need to push forward with these ideas. They did hit the pause button until the financials, because they were so askew. Once the financials straightened out for them again, I think it gave the creatives the confidence to say, hey, we cannot stop or we're going to lose market share. But this is, dude, these are amazing topics. I don't want to run too long in this episode.
No. You're good. I do want to say one thing though, because I have to ask you the question, and I want to do it on camera. I know you've done this with DisLife, but I want the Tiki Room radio audience as well, because there is crossover, but not entirely.
Yeah.
Both Lemuel, Magic Bands and Trash Cans, and you have uttered a phrase that blows my mind, considering we have things like Rise of the Resistance. You've said, this is the greatest attraction you've ever been on. And both Lemuel and you have said that statement. What is, without spoilers, what is so impactful to you?
Listen, you and I are suckers for storytelling. I'm not going to ruin the story. I don't even want to tell you a single component of it. The thing that I love about Rise of the Resistance is it is storytelling done on an epic scale where you're immersed and you're living your adventure. Guardians of the Galaxy does that, but it does it on a whole nother level, because as a thrill ride, the sensations and the way that you feel living the story is obviously heightened. On a roller coaster, more often than not, you lose the story components to it, because it gives way to just cheap thrills. The best that we have to compare it to is Expedition Everest and the immersion that you get in the quest for the Yeti. Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind is taking storytelling to a whole nother level that I'm going to be honest with you, I never thought was possible on a roller coaster. And there are moments on that I lost myself, that I forgot for a minute that I was on a roller coaster, and the sensations that you feel while living, you're living Guardians of the Galaxy. And that's, you feel like you're in the movie, between the size and the scale and the set pieces and the music coming, it all blends in a way that you feel like you're living this cinematic experience that I never thought was possible on a roller coaster. And Linda, who is so emotionally detached from anything Marvel Cinematic Universe and Guardians of the Galaxy, was crying with delight, tears streaming down her face, saying that was the most beautiful thing that I think I have ever experienced, and just pure delight and pure fun. And the great thing is then they change the song and it completely changes the entire vibe of it. So my first ride through, I'm not going to spoil this. They've already released the soundtrack. Do you want to know what songs there are that we had? Or okay, so you don't even want to know that. I won't even tell you, but they will change the songs that will completely change the experience.
So, with just as an aside, and then we can close out and do our wrap. You're saying your first ride through for did you do DVC and your AP, or are you talking about AP you got to ride more than once?
So they have since changed the rules on this, and they tell people now no rewinds. I went on the first day. And so you were still in that area, and there was a lot of gray area. They weren't really telling people that you couldn't. So long as you were in the area and the vicinity of the ride, we walked around right afterward and got back on, and they didn't stop us. We didn't even stop to ask. We just did it.
Well, Ratatouille was like that. Like, and when I took the girls, they said, you're here for 45 minutes. You may ride this attraction as much as you want within that period.
Correct.
So we rode it, I think 2 or 3 times. And I said to the girls, like, we're going to do a virtual queue after this. So the likelihood of us being able to ride this multiple times in a day is very slim moving forward. So let's take the opportunity. We really enjoyed it. But like Cosmic Rewind, I'm super curious if you could do a virtual queue and a paid individual lightning lane and be able to ride it twice in a day. I'm not sure, but
so we didn't ask, we approached it very much like the Ratatouille situation. We walked up a second time and we were able to get on for that second ride within that window. And so they have now since changed that. So I had 2 experiences, but much like Lemuel said, this isn't my favorite coaster. This isn't my favorite dark ride. This is my favorite ride of all time. And we did a DisLife
That's
panel.
so dirty. That's so dirty. Like I've been on so many rides. That's so crazy. Like I have been total ostrich syndrome, head in the sand, and I cannot wait. I'm going next week, and the girls are tall enough, so they're going to get to experience it. So I'm just very, very excited for all the whole LaVecchia tribe to be able to experience it all together.
Man, I'm just going to say the marriage of the ride vehicle, the movement of the vehicle, the visuals, the music, it's going to change your perception on what these rides can be. I mean, and you can look at the show building and know how epic it's going to be in size and scope.
Was the gift shop open?
It wasn't. It wasn't.
Okay. I didn't know if you could like even walk through that, but
now that might have changed towards the end of the DVC AP previews. But when we were there, I was there on the first day. So the day prior to me was media. So Lemuel and I were on on Mother's Day, which was the first possible day
you could ride
to ride it.
Yeah. So I'm very excited for, I'm going to go the 27th. So I ended up getting an opening day just so I can learn about virtual queue. Will be interesting. See what the merch is. If I get on, great. But I've never been on a major first day opening of an attraction before. So I just kind of want to see the chaos unfolds for Cosmic. But I'm very excited to be able to go on it in a very relaxed, leisurely pace next week.
Man, I cannot wait. I can't wait for you to experience this because both myself and my wife had tears of joy streaming down our face at various elements of the ride, that it was so beautiful and so poetic.
Yep.
Unlike anything I had ever seen and or felt. And emotionally, I was just overwhelmed by how creative and imaginative this is. But again, to like circle back and to tie all this up, this is why I think that Disney is continuing to be the industry leader, is they reimagine these spaces. And I hold out hope that like we had fun doing this, but Disney does this. This is what they do best. And so thank you to everybody for joining us here on Tiki Room Radio, joining us here on the premiere over on YouTube. Thank you for checking this out over on the podcast stream. Again, you can find us at DisLifePodcast.com as a bonus episode. We love doing this every single week. But until next week, ladies and gentlemen, farewell and aloha to you.
Bum, 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 bum. Ba-da-da-dum.
Ole, ole. Bye, everybody.